Okay. So that should be good on those. All right. So do we feel comfortable with those? Because those types of problems will be done on the test. Does anyone want me to run back through, make sure we're good? So it says Mr. Gordon plans to invest $300 each month. So $300, no, negative 300 when the payment's going away from you at 9%. Whoops, go to. That should have been this negative. And that was 9%. 12 years. So 12 times 12, 12 months is 144. And he says he's paying $300. Oh, that's not his previous value. I want that to be 0. He's paying out $300. And then C/payments per, we're doing, so being there's 12 payments a year that he's going to do. This again takes us to the future value of $77,313. Then number 2, parents agree to invest $500 for their son, 10% annually, semi-annually, so twice a year. So we're going to go up to the top. So twice a year for 4 years is 8 payments at 10%. And they're going to make a payment each month of $500. And then we have to go down here. I think I did this one wrong. They're doing 2 payments a year, right? So payments per year should be 2. So that'll change C/Y to 2. And then we have to go alpha enter here. So that's a little bit better than what original was. He's going to have $4,774.55 after he graduates. And then how much should be invested at the end of each year? 10% compounded annually in order to have $50,000 in your account after 8 years. Okay. How much should be invested at the end of each year for 8 years? So that's 8. That's 10%. Previous value of 0. Payment of, we don't know. He wants to get to $50,000. And how much should be at the end of each year after 8 years? So he's 8 payments. So he has a total of 8 payments, or payments per year is 1 in this case. So, and then we want to see what the actual payment each year should be. So alpha enter. So $4,372.20 he needs to invest each year for 8 years to get you his $50,000. And then a couple is computed that they need $300,000 for that annuity. So again, they want to get to $300,000, 10%. They want to retire in 25 years. How much do they deposit each month? So you have 12 months times 25 years. So it'll do the arithmetic for you, which is great. So that's 300. And then we have 12 payments per year. So P/Y. And then come up here and just change this, go alpha, enter. So $226 for 300 payments should get them up to that $300,000 in 25 years. And then I think we did number 5 already. Pretty good. I think we did that fine. All right, flip the page if you don't mind. Let's see how we're doing with this. Problem number 6 says, suppose a recent college graduate's first job allows her to deposit $100 at the end of each month in a retirement plan that earns 9% compounded monthly. This plan continues for 8 years before new obligations make it impossible to continue deposits. If the accrued amount remains in the plan for the next 15 years without deposits or withdrawals, how much money will be in the account after 23 years? Okay, so this person is going to deposit $100 each month. So our payment's $100. It's going to earn 9%. And then, so it says 8 years each month. So you're going to go 8 times 12. Again, the N will do the arithmetic. So we have 96 payments of $100 at the 9%. All right, and then each month. Okay, so future value here. So this is something to think about, and this often happens. So you get into a situation where you are making deposits into an account. So this got up to $13,985. Okay. So now we want to figure out, we have 15 years after this. So originally she's earning $13,000, almost $14,000, still going to earn the 9%, but can no longer do a payment. Okay, so I'm going to change my previous value to 13,985.62. So that's what the value is going to be. So for the next 15 years after that, I can find the future value. I have a zero payment. Let's see what happens. All right. So it turns a little backwards, which is fine. Don't worry about the negative. This just means that the money, she was not invested any more money. The $13,985 after 15 years jumped up to $15,644.35. And then
isn't it still compounding monthly? So would it be 15 times 12?
Is it 15? Yes, you're right. I didn't see that. 15 times 12. All right, made a mistake here. So that's our 180 future value then. This is going to change it to a much nicer thing. There we go. That's more like it. So her 9% investment, where she started with $13,985.62, she wasn't able to contribute for the next 15 years because of other situations, but it was still compounding monthly. So her $13,000 then turned into $53,677.41. And then we're going to do the same thing for 23. So we're going to go 23 times 12, because again, it's compounding monthly. So it'll do the math for us. So 276 payments. We're not putting any extra money in.
Isn't it say 23 years after the plan initially began? So would it be like 100?
Oh. Okay, if the amount remains in the plan for the next 15 years without deposits or withdrawals, how much money will be in the account 23 years after she initially started planning? All right, so she went for 8 years. Okay, that's actually simple to do. What we do is we're just going to add 13,985.62 to 53,000. No, wait. So how much will be in the account 23 years after the planning? I think it's the same answer. If accrued, the amount remains in the plan for the next 15 years without deposits or withdrawals. How much money will be in the account 23 years? Okay, so it's the same. It's the same answer. So they're saying what happens after 15 years? You know, we have our initial 8 years. 15 years after that, 15 plus 8 is 23. Mm-hmm. So that was the same question. It was just trying to add more information. So they could have, if they would have just struck that 23, said, you know, for the next 15 years, no deposits were made, how much money's in there?
Oh, yeah.
Because 15 plus 8 is 23, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then for 15, so 15, 23, same answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same answer because it says she did this for 8 years, and then for 15 more years did this. Okay, so now the 8 and 15 is 23. We started it, did it for 8 years, just let it grow, didn't ever add to it. So 20, it's going to be the same answer regardless.
Okay, makes sense.
And that's at least how I'm reading it. You guys you're smarter than me. You guys are reading it different. Hey, we got our friend Patty here. Patty deposited $2,000 at the end of each of the 5 years she qualified for an IRA. If she leaves the money that accumulated in the IRA for an additional 25 years, how much will be in her account worth at the end of the 30-year period? Assume that she's interest of 9% compounded annually. Okay, we can do this. So it says that she did the end of each year for 5 years. So she did 5 years. She earned 9%. Someone's got some tunes going kind of loud. Is that butter?
Sorry.
Uh-huh. I see how it is. She has a previous value of 0, but now she's going to be making a payment of $2,000. And her payments per year, she said at the end of each year, this will be 1 here, which changes the bottom 1 to 1. And then I can go ahead and do a future value of this. So her 5 years, her 5 payments once a year for $2,000 is going to allow her $10,000 investment to be $11,969.42 after those 5 years. But then if we change our previous value to 969.42, and let's see, we're going to do the next 25 years, right? 30-year period. So we're going to change. Sorry. No, go away. I don't want sticky keys. Wait. Close. So she's going to do 25 years at no payment. So she's going to have a payment at 0. And she does it once a year. So now I can find her future value here. So her initial money she put in is now going to have a future value of $103,213.27. So there's a lot of times that you get into a situation where you start making too much money. You can't qualify for certain accounts, but you can still leave money in an account to build. Where the gotcha is on some of those accounts is the money manager that's holding your money will actually give you there will be a fee at the end of each year for your money. They call it their money managing fee, and they're like, but you're holding my money. So it's kind of crazy. And then it says, suppose Patty's husband, Frank, delayed in starting the IRA for the first 10 years he worked, but then made $2,000 deposits at the end of the next 15 years. Oh, actually, I have to write down this value. Okay. Piece of paper. All right, so Patty winds up with $103,213.27. That's for Patty. All right, hold on to that for a sec. And then it says her husband delayed starting IRA for the first 10 years he worked, then made $2,000 deposits for the next 15 years. Okay, so I'm going to go up to this N. I'm going to change this to 15. So he's doing 15 one-year deposits. Still 9%. He started with nothing. He's doing a payment of $2,000. And then how much is he going to be worth? And we're doing at the end of each year, so it's payments per year. So her husband, who invested he invested his money, $2,000 a month or $2,000 a year for 15 years. He comes out to $58,721. So his wife, because she invested in the beginning and then stopped, she had a longer amount of time for her money to grow. Her husband actually invested for Patty invested for 5 years. Her husband invested for 15 years, but he did it later, so he didn't have time on his side. So he actually came out with less money over the same period of time because he chose to do it late. And the scary thing is, I kid you not, and I know I've told you guys this over and over, I started investing way early in life for retirement. I have friends now that are 54 years old that will say to me, well, I was thinking about starting to invest. I mean, I kid you not, in a simple scenario, if I were to take 35 years at 9% and started with nothing, and I was just doing this at the end of each year for tax purposes, the $2,000 investment I'm doing at the end of each year comes out to $431,421. So if you think about it, I did. I've already calculated real quick. Cool. If my plan would have worked, how I'm just giving you the scenario, 200 times 35 is $70,000 investing to turn into $431 over 35 years of just each year. At the end of each year, it's like, for tax purposes, okay, I'll do a rough estimate of my taxes. I realize if I take $2,000 and put it into an IRA that's tax deferred, that offsets my taxable income by $2,000, which means that theoretically I pay less in taxes. The problem with this is I have to pay tax on that $431,000 at the end of 35 years when I start withdrawing it as income. There's the Roth IRA, which means you pay today's taxes on your money to grow and you don't pay taxes on it at the end, with the hopes of the Roth IRA, taxes today are going to be less than taxes in the future. You know, I think it's a gamble either way you do it. I don't know what the exact answer is. I'd say diversify your investments. But my story with me saying that I basically put $70,000 in. So let's say I take my buddies who are not financially savvy and they'll say, hey, okay, we're going to do 10 payments and we're going to start out. He's like, Stirrup, you said you put $70,000 in over that period of time. Yeah, I'm going to put $70,000 in. Plus, I'm going to put $2,000 extra dollars in. So I should have way more money than you, Stirrup. And it's like, okay, so you put $70,000 in at age 55 to go to age 65. And they did it for 10 years, same amount of money. And if I hit future value, enter. So my genius friends, even though they would have put the same amount of money in much later in life and then put an additional $2,000 in, so they're putting an additional $20,000 in. So they are at $90,000 as an investment to have that worth $135,329.60 by the time they turn 65. Whereas, yeah, because they waited way late in life. And I will tell you, so many people here in America who are my age, it's scary. I mean, there's times that I often will go and listen to people talk, and it's like their financial plan sucks. It's like, well, no, I had to have a brand new car every year. Why? Oh, well, because I had to have one. So they were spending their money over and over, and they weren't saving first for the future. And yeah, they might have been able to save $70,000 going, I'm going to throw 70,000, same amount Stirrup did, 70,000, but I did it over 35 years, gradually over 35 years, and they did it for 10 years and then put an additional 20,000 into it. I mean, you get up to $90,000, you're only making $45,000 in interest, whereas me, if I put in that $70,000, I mean, I'm at so much more at the top of the end, and it scares me because I don't know if I want these guys to know where I live when we retire, because they're gonna be like, "Hey, Stirrup, remember that $100 you owe me? Yeah, here you go. Get out of my life." I don't need people knocking on my door because my friends didn't. They chose not to save. I mean, I have had my friend Brandon. I love him to death. He has flat out, oh, the whole thing with saving money is a scam. Okay, I have a lot of decimal places to the left of the decimal point that my money's in. Yeah, but that's just a scam. Yeah, but I haven't put in as much as what the amount of value I have. Yeah, but it's a scam. Look, the market's doing bad right now. The market has gradually grown. Yes, you have valleys that always take place in the market. Valleys are what happens. Valleys, I look forward to valleys taking place because rather than me going investing $1,000 this month for 15 shares, maybe I can take that same 1,000 and buy 20 shares because it's worth less. And then when those 20 shares go up in value, my money continues to grow faster and faster and faster. It's an absolutely frightening thing that people are doing. And my biggest point for you guys, my friends, is please, please, please think about your future. And yes, I've heard the argument, well, what if I die tomorrow? Well, I'll miss you.
But you won't miss the money.
But yeah, you can't take it with you regardless. It's like, yeah, but I had a really cool car. Well, if you're dead tomorrow and you had a really cool car, who cares? The car's still here. You're not. So, I'm not trying to be morbid on these things. I'm just trying to point out that the biggest growth factor for each and every one of you is time. Yes, unfortunately, people will pass away before certain ages of life. I mean, I've had so many of my friends who have passed away. I mean, my very first friend who passed away was when I was 16 years old. His name was Pete Garcia. He was the greatest guy I'd ever known. He's fooling around with a gun. You guys figure out the rest. Okay? That hit me very hard as a person. I mean, 16 years old, one of my closest friends in the world. We grew up going out our backyard fences into the desert and shooting jackrabbits, rattlesnakes, Gila monsters, tarantulas, coyotes. I mean, that's who we were. That's how I grew up. So we knew you don't screw around with a gun, and Pete did. And it was not a suicide. He just was screwing around and discharged it into his head. So obviously his saving, if you want to know the whole story, I'll give you the whole story at some other time. It is horrible. So younger than you guys are right now is when I had my very first close friend pass away. Then another one of my close friends named Chris Massey had a massive heart attack when we were 21 and died. And that sucked. And then there was a span of a few years that nothing really happened. And then my next closest friend passed away 11 years ago from alcohol poisoning. And then another one of my friends passed away because he was on painkillers and decided he liked beer with painkillers as well and went to sleep and didn't wake up. And then another one of my friends, I mean, and these are all, it's ridiculous and it saddens me because these are all people that I grew up with, who I was friends with. And it's a shame. Heck, one of the girls I went to kindergarten with, and I've known her all the way through, and just went to an Arizona State football game and saw her at that football game this past fall when I was down in Arizona. I saw her, and she was an elementary school principal, caught the flu, went home from school because she felt like dirt, fell asleep, didn't wake up. That sucks. And she was a marathon runner. So, you don't know where your time is. And I'm not trying to sound like a morbid, like this is a horrible thing, but you don't know where time is. But I am planning for my future. If something happens to me, what I find grace in, and the whole thing is, my wife and my kids are the heirs to what I have been earning. And then the same thing with my wife passes away, I and my kids are the heirs to what she has been earning. So, I always like to, let you guys take care of one another, because take care of one another is a big, powerful thing to do. Unfortunately, don't be Brandon, don't be TJ, don't be Justin, don't be Billy, don't be Todd. None of these people have saved. These are my closest network of friends. None of them have saved anything for retirement. And we're all 54 years old. Some of them are turning 55 this summer. I turned 55 in December, but they haven't started saving, and I did. And I have been ridiculed by those guys for all of the years I've been saving of why would you do that? It's like, sir, if you drive a car that's 4 years old, so yeah, but man, you got to have this. Yeah, you should see my portfolio. Yeah, but dude, you could have a cool car now. Yeah, you wait to see what retirement is. Oh, wait, you won't see me because the first year of my retirement, I'm doing a round the world cruise. It's 274 or 278 days. Yeah, it's beautiful. If you guys want to see, this is my retirement. This is the first year or first 2/3 of a year. 274-day cruise and cruise around the world. And it is the ultimate world cruise. Yeah. So this is what my first year or first 2/3 of a year after I retire. I mean, 274 nights, 8 world wonders, over 60 countries. And then let's see if I can find the itinerary. The itinerary somewhere up here. Itinerary. So this is basically what my cruise will do. My wife thinks I'm crazy that I want to do this, but you know, what else is new? She has told me that my good friend Tim Stemler is coming with me, and she and his wife, they're just not going to do it. Yeah, that's the thing. So you leave Miami, Florida on December 10th, Bahamas, Mexico, Aruba, Furucha, Bonaire, Barbados, Grenada, French Guiana, Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, 2 different ports, 3 different ports, Argentina, Falkland Islands, Antarctica, 2 different ports in Antarctica, Chile, Argentina again, more Chile, lots of Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Cabo. You guys are like, wait, we were just there, Stirrup. Yeah, there's going to be some old Stirrup that goes to Cabo for a day. Oh, Los Angeles, yay. Hawaii, Polynesia. You know, you got some of these that are 5-6 days of cruising. New Zealand, Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, China, Japan, South Korea. More China, more Japan. I mean, you're at different ports. 4 days of cruising. Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Hasina, India. I mean, you got some great stuff you're seeing on this cruise, and you're not even done. You know, Dubai. I mean, this is where this cruise goes. So I left on December 10th. We're now at May 31st, and we're not done yet. Ivory Coast, Canary Islands, UK, Greece, Italy, many ports of Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, different ports, Montenegro. Huh? You have to pack for all 4 seasons. But the things that you're getting included on this cruise, all your meals, all your excursions in every country, all of your laundry, your room is cleaned every day, and you know, anything you want on the cruise, all of your entertainment, unless you want to gamble, then the gambling is going to cost you. But there's this show that we're going to watch. Oh, the ship's going to stay here for a couple days, so they're going to switch out that show for a different show. I mean, we did a 5 or 7 day cruise a couple years ago, and for all 7 nights, we had a different 3-hour entertaining show to watch. One for each season, but your laundry gets done for you too. I know. I don't have a problem with this. You guys want to know what the price tag is per person?
You gonna retire on a cruise boat?
Yes. $70,000 per person. Now, let me put that into perspective. I spent 2 weeks in Switzerland with my wife and oldest daughter for her graduation gift this past summer. that costs us $14,000 for 2 weeks.
Okay,
So for $140,000, 10 times the amount, I get to go around the world. And my wife is like, why would I want to do this when we could just go to these countries? Well, I don't want to take a trip where it's like, yeah, that was great. I just dropped $14,000 on a trip, but I would have rather go someplace else where I'm going to get a little taste of each one of these countries, and I'm going to keep a little journal saying, I really want to go back to this country. I want to explore that more. And then, oh, I got it all figured out. I have been thinking about this for the past 15 years. All right, my friends. It's almost time to go. What time are we out of here?
54.
I'll be there.